Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are strapping in for something that I can only describe as equal parts sugary, sweet, and just absolutely unhinged.
Oh, totally. It's a fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it?
Yeah, we are looking at a track that somehow manages to blend this breathy cuteness of Japanese pop with the sheer aggression of breakcore.
It's like watching a Hello Kitty cartoon that suddenly glitches into a horror movie. But, in the most danceable way possible.
That is a perfect image. We are talking about the song Little Prince Loves You by the artist EeL featuring Ryoma Maeda.
Right.
And if you haven't heard of this, don't worry. We aren't just reacting to a song. We're digging through a stack of sources that are frankly a little wild.
I was so excited to get into these.
We have secret production notes, literally making of sheets. We have streaming service liner notes, a very eclectic Spotify playlist of influences, and a podcast description that makes some pretty bold predictions.
And what makes this deep dive so compelling is that we aren't just talking about a single song. We're looking at a case study in musical evolution. Mm-hmm. We're tracing how a track created in a tiny apartment with almost zero budget became this cult classic, and why nearly 2 decades later, the artist decided to essentially destroy it and rebuild it.
Exactly. We're going to find out how unlimited crab legs, a broken down computer, and a grindcore drummer all played a role in this. But first, let's set the scene. What's the mission here?
The mission is to understand the alchemy of bedroom production. We hear about polished studio hits all the time, but this story is about the raw, messy creativity that happens when you have severe limitations.
Yeah.
It's about how a song that was meant to be filler became the main event.
I love that. The accidental masterpiece trope. It's always better than the over-engineered stuff. So let's go back. The year is 2004. The setting, Osaka.
Right, 2004, EeL releases the album Little Prince. But here's the catch. The title track, Little Prince, it wasn't supposed to be the lead single. It wasn't even supposed to be on the album at first.
Wait, really? The song the album is named after was just an afterthought.
Completely. According to the production notes, Ryoma Maeda, the producer, felt the album was just lacking something. They were at the very end of production. The finish line was in sight. And he just felt he needed one more track to, tie it all together. So he made Little Prince the absolute last minute.
Just to fill up the disc.
Just to fill space.
That is wild. It's like when you're writing an essay and you throw in a conclusion paragraph to hit the word count, and it turns out to be the smartest thing you wrote.
Precisely. And because it was a rush job, the pressure was off. He wasn't trying to write a hit. He was just trying to finish. And the conditions he wrote it in are, they are not professional studio standard.
Oh, this is where the sources get really specific, and I love it. Let's talk about the gear, because nowadays, veteran producers have pretty swanky setups, right?
Oh yeah, MacBooks, interfaces.
But 2004...
Maeda was working on a Sony VAIO PC.
Iconic. The chunky gray tower.
The very same. And he was using a DIA, a digital audio workstation called Acid.
Oh, Acid. I haven't had that name in years. That was the loop-based software, wasn't it?
It was. It's legacy software now, basically defunct. But that's important for the sound.
How so?
Modern Abletons like Ableton are great for recording instruments or MIDI. Acid was all about elastic audio. You could drag and drop samples, drum loops, riffs, and it would just stretch them to fit the tempo.
Right, so it encourages a very specific kind of collage music.
Exactly. You're pasting things together. It lends itself to that choppy, cut-and-paste aesthetic that really defines the track. But here's the detail that really stood out to me. Maeda didn't have studio monitors.
Monitor speakers are pretty essential for mixing, aren't they? You need to hear the sound accurately.
You do. You want that flat frequency response. But Maeda was broke. He was using a standard CD boombox as his monitor speakers.
A boombox? So he's mixing this intricate, chaotic track on the same thing I used to listen to the radio on in middle school.
That's it. And that imposes a certain sound. A plastic boombox has no sub-bass, very little high-end detail. It's all mid-range.
So if you're mixing on that, you have to make the song sound exciting without relying on massive bass drops or crystal clear highs, because you can't even hear them.
It forces you to focus on the core elements, the melody, the rhythm, the crunch.
Yeah.
You can make a mix bang on a cheap boombox. It's going to have a certain grit. It's the ultimate stress test. Audio engineers call this checking on grot boxes.
He just didn't have a choice. The grot box was his main box.
It was his only box.
That explains so much. What about the vocals? EeL has that very distinct, airy, cute voice. What were they recording on?
They used a Sennheiser MD421.
Okay, for the non-gearheads, what is that?
It's a dynamic microphone. It's legendary, but it's usually used for loud sources, like tom drums or guitar amps. It is not the typical choice for delicate pop vocals.
So why use it?
Likely because it's what they had. Or, the room they were in, that tiny apartment, was completely untreated. A sensitive condenser mic would pick up traffic, the fridge humming, everything. A dynamic mic like the 421 rejects that background noise. But it also gives the vocal a kind of boxed-in, radio-like quality.
Which, again, adds to that unique texture. It doesn't sound like a glossy studio pop song. It sounds intimate and a little claustrophobic.
It speaks to utilizing what you have to create a style. And speaking of that, we have to touch on the financial situation. The notes are blunt about this. Ryo Maeda was living in poverty.
Yeah, the source material mentions he was in a one-room apartment, 55,000 yen rent. That's very modest for a song.
It's tiny. Your bed, your kitchen, your studio, all within arm's reach. And there is this one anecdote that just paints such a vivid picture, the unlimited crab incident.
Ah, yes, the crab. This felt like a fever dream when I read it.
It's a fantastic story. Apparently, Maeda was so broke that Mori Chak, you know who that is from?
Mori Chak, creator of Gloomy Bear, that violent pink bear that was huge in the mid-2000s.
That's the one, which is a perfect parallel to this music, cute but violent.
True.
Anyway, Mori Chak knew Maeda had no money, so he took him out to a place called Kani Doraku in Dotonbori.
Which is famous for its giant moving crab sign. It's a landmark.
Right, and Mori Chak treated him to the all-you-can-eat crab course.
I can just picture it. A starving musician and the creator of a murderous pink bear sitting under a giant mechanical crab, just gorging on seafood.
It's a funny story, but it's also quite touching, It grounds the music in reality. This was made by a guy who was literally hungry, relying on the community of artists around him.
And despite all that, he still had his passions. The notes say he was a huge fan of the Kintetsu Buffaloes baseball team.
Yes, and he loved watching high school baseball at Koshi.
Which, again, it just humanizes the creator. He's sitting in this tiny apartment, watching high school baseball, eating charity crab, and programming beats on a Sony VAO that probably crashed every hour.
That is the environment that birthed this track. High stress, low budget, and fueled by passion.
So we have the environment. Now let's talk about the recipe. Because EeL's style it's hard to pin down.
It's a total genre clash. You have to remember, EeL isn't just an underground name. She did vocals for Konami's pop music and guest spots with acts like Capsule. So there's this pop sensibility.
That whole Shibuya Kai influence, very stylish, very chic.
Exactly. But then you look at the influences playlist provided in the sources, and it is all over the map.
It's wildly eclectic. I was looking through it, and it feels like someone hit shuffle on a library that belongs to a mad scientist.
It really explains the sound of Little Prince.
Okay, hit me with the highlights. What are the key ingredients?
Well, on one end you have Pachelbel's canon.
Classical Baroque music, okay? That gives you the melodic core.
Right, that timeless emotional chord progression. But then smashed right up against that, you have Mr. Bungle's Squeeze Me Macaroni.
Which is absolute chaos. Mike Patton's band, it's funk metal, ska, noise, all changing every 10 seconds.
It represents the structural unpredictability.
Yeah.
And then you have Aphex Twin's Girl Boy song.
The king of drill and bass.
Exactly. Girl Boy song is crucial because it does what EeL does. It takes a beautiful melody and puts these incredibly fast, glitchy, complex drums underneath it. The pretty and the ugly.
And then you throw in Prince. My name's Prince, for the funk and the attitude.
And we can't forget the electronic appears. The playlist mentions Plus Tech Squeezebox and World's End Boyfriend.
Both are legendary in that scene.
They are, and the source notes reveal a direct sampling connection. Parts of the beat in Little Prince Loves You are actually sampled from a World's End Boyfriend track.
Oh, nice catch. That's a deep cut for the fans.
It is, and there's another sample. The notes mention a pitch-shifted shout.
Yes, that high-pitched shouting voice you hear in the background.
That belongs to Sakamoto, a member of the band Elegabas.
I love that. It's just friends recording, friends shouting, then tweaking it until it sounds like a cartoon character. It's so DIY.
It adds to that homemade texture. It's collage art. And speaking of art, the album cover was done by an artist named No Life.
And here's the kicker. No Life is actually a drummer for a grindcore band.
Of course he is. Because when I think cute electronic pop, I immediately think grindcore drummer.
But that's the whole aesthetic. It's the tension. You have EeL's whispery vocals and then grindcore visuals and breakcore drums. It shouldn't work, but it does.
It works because both genres rely on intensity. One is intense sweetness, the other is intense noise. When you layer them, they amplify each other. It's confusing, but in a good way.
Okay, so that's the DNA of the original 2004 track. But we are here to talk about Little Prince Loves You, the new release. The sources are very emphatic about this distinction.
Right, it's a rearrangement. It is distinct from the 2004 mix.
The description says the goal was to destroy the fragility and cuteness of the original. Why would you destroy your own hit?
It's a creative destruction. Think about it. The original was accidental. It was a bedroom trap mixed on a boombox, fragile. The new version, Loves You, is reconstructed specifically for live explosions.
Live explosions, I like that phrasing.
The artist wanted to create catharsis. It's about balancing sweetness with impulse and collapse with rebirth.
So this version is designed to tear the roof off a venue.
Exactly. And this is significant because, according to the notes, this specific live arranged version has never been available on streaming services before.
So it's been a live-only thing until now?
Correct. It's been a staple in their sets, the version where the drums go twice as hard. But you could only ever find the original 2004 version online. Now that live energy is finally captured.
It's interesting to think about a song evolving over 20 years. This one grew up, got angry, and started working out.
It reflects the environment it was played in. The notes mention the release parties for the album back in 2004. If you look at those lineups, you understand why the song had to get harder.
Oh, I saw those lineups. They were insane. Let's look at the Tokyo party.
Tokyo had Meiwa Denki.
Wait, Meiwa Denki, the art unit that makes instruments out of skeletons and jumping fish.
The very same. Performance art chaos. And on the same bill, plus Tech Squeezebox and Nakata Yasutaka.
Nakata Yasutaka. Before he took over the world with perfume.
Right before he became Japan's super producer. And then the Osaka party was even more chaotic. You had Psych Out's G, Ovinak Pax.
Ovinak is straight up breakcore madness. Very fast, very distorted.
So imagine you're playing alongside these acts. Meiwa Denki's nonsense machines and Ovinak's digital noise. Your cute song needs to have some teeth to survive.
That makes perfect sense. It's adaptation. The Loves You version exists because it had to become a weapon to survive in that scene.
Exactly. You can't just be cute. You have to be loud.
Speaking of chaos, there's a funny story about that Tokyo launch party. The notes say Ryoma Maeda left part of his equipment at the venue.
Yes, this is a classic move.
He just forgot it and went all the way back to Osaka without it.
It fits the profile, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The exhausted bedroom producer puts everything into the show and then forgets his sampler at the bar.
I feel that. And we should mention the engineer. The album was mixed and mastered by Hayashi from Plus Tech Squeezebox.
Which explains that hyper-compressed cut-and-paste sound. It's the perfect match. It really was a community effort, you know. The shout, the sample, the mix, the crab dinner.
It takes a village to raise a little prince.
It really does.
So we have this track that started as filler, survived poverty, got reconstructed, and is now finally streaming. But the sources also look forward, and this is where it gets a little sci-fi.
The podcast description source. This really caught my eye.
It's a bold claim. Ryoma Maeda believes that a masterpiece surpassing Little Prince will be born in the year 2026.
2026, that's very specific.
Okay.
And getting close.
And the description calls this new release fuel for AI in 2026.
This is a fascinating pivot. We spent this whole time talking about how human this track is, the mistakes, the cheap gear, the hunger, and now the creator is positioning it as data, fodder for AI.
What do you make of that? Is it cynical? Like, here, robots, take my art.
I think it's realistic, but also maybe a bit subversive. All art eventually becomes part of the data set, right? But there's something poetic about specifically feeding this track to the AI.
Because it's so flawed.
Because it's so human. A song born from chaos, from that specific mix of boredom, lack of money, and friendship, is something AI struggles to replicate authentically.
Right.
Can AI replicate the feeling of eating charity crab because you spent your rent money on a synth?
That's the ghost in the machine, the soul variable.
Exactly. So by feeding Little Prince to the AI of 2026, maybe the hope is that the AI learns a little bit about that chaos, about that mix of cuteness and destruction.
So the song becomes a virus, a good virus, infecting the future with a little bit of 2004 Osaka madness.
I like that interpretation. It's not just fuel, it's a lesson. It's teaching the AI that perfection isn't the goal. The goal is impact.
It really makes you think, are we making content or are we making fuel? And if we're making fuel, what kind of engine are we building?
And can you tell the difference? If an AI makes a happy accident in 2026 because it studied Ryoma Maeda, is it still an accident?
Oof. Okay, that's going to keep me up at night. Before we go, if you're going to go stream Little Prince Loves You after this,
Which you absolutely should.
what should they be listening for? Give us the expert air guide.
Listen for the destruction. Don't just hear it as a pop song. Listen for the moment the melody collapses. Listen for that grindcore influence beneath the cute vocals, the way the drums stutter and break.
And try to imagine the boombox.
Yes, try to hear the mid-range grit that comes from cheap plastic speakers and realize the shout you hear is just a friend screaming into a microphone in a small apartment.
And maybe grab some crab legs while you listen.
Just to pay homage. Full circle.
So here's the final provocative thought for you to chew on. We talked about how this song was a happy accident filler that became a classic. In a world where AI can generate thousands of songs in a minute, optimized for perfection, where we have unlimited digital tracks and no need to fill space, will we ever have happy accidents again? Or does the filler track disappear when efficiency becomes the only goal?
That's a scary thought. The throwaway idea is often the most human one. If we optimize the filler out of existence, we might be optimizing the soul out of music.
Something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Go listen to EeL. Go listen to Little Prince Loves You. And remember, sometimes the best things happen when you're just trying to fill space. We will catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.